All right, this is a tutorial on Jamboard, and I love Jamboard. It is basically a digital whiteboard that you can save. You can have a lot of different functions, but the great thing is that it is connected to Google as part of the Google Workspace, which means that if you are using Google Meet, it's very easy to connect Jamboard to your Google Meet. But even if you're using WebEx like I am, there are still many options and different settings that you can do. Basically, it's like having a digital whiteboard, right? So what a lot of times, I think for me personally, I always want to share my screen, but I also want to see the students at the same time. With Jamboard, what you can do is you just need to share a link, and then you can actually see what people are on there, whether they are doing work, and there's so many examples of what you can do. And I'm sure that they will probably update the application as well, because if you see, it just came out a few years ago, and especially recently with the pandemic, it's being used even more, right? So right now it's very minimal with the functions, but I think if you even just look it up in Google or on YouTube, you can find even more tutorials of how you can use it for your classroom, right? Like these videos over here or more. So how I use it is, for example, I have a link right here and I call it Jamboard because that's how I remember where that is, but it's actually called this. So this is only for me. But if I wanted to, I actually can change my settings, right? So I go to share and I here, anyone with this link can view. So I can copy the link and share it with people. However, I can change the settings to people who can edit. But for this one, because this is for me only, so I don't really want the students or other people to have the options to edit things. What you can do is make it very collaborative. But for now, this tutorial is about how you can use it from your own, from the teacher's perspective. So what I do, for example, is I have this slide ready when it is time for students to take a quiz during class, and I can post all the instructions on here, right? So I can change the different backgrounds. What's really cool is you can also add your own image to the background, and I will show that in a different tutorial. I can also clear the frame really easily if I want to, or if I accidentally do that, I can just go back. And so what I have done is I will have my directions on here for the quiz depending on what they are. But here, for example, right, I'm just telling students about WebEx and what they can do after they are done with the quiz. On Jamboard, there's a few options right now. So for pen, I can click the pen, marker, highlighter, or brush, and I can change a few different colors. I actually kind of like that. This is kind of minimal and I don't have too many options because sometimes I feel like too many options can get very overwhelming and intimidating, right? So what I can do is I can just click a highlighter and then click yellow and I can highlight my text. And I can also undo that. Or I can highlight again and I can erase what I have highlighted. So it's quite easy and user-friendly in this case, if you are the only person who's just using this as your virtual whiteboard. All right, and what I can also do is I can just select, so I can click here. If you notice, because they keep it minimal with Google Jamboard, what you some of the functions that you may want also do not appear, right? So for me personally, I feel like sometimes I maybe would want a crop option, but I'm not sure if that's available, but it's just fine. So here you can rotate, right? And then you can just, this is the text box. So what I can also do is I can just double click and I can change whatever I want to say onto here, right? For the text font. What I can do is I can go to three dots over here for my options and I can edit, right, which I just did, or I can just duplicate this text box. Now I can also delete it, or I can put in the order. So for example, right, if there is a sticky note I have here, which I also like this function. So this is just a simple sticky note if you want things to pop out. So let's see. All right, so if I just type, I can also change different background colors. I'll just keep it yellow for now and I'll click save. And if you notice, that's a sticky note, right? So that's it. So then I can click cancel and come back here. Now, if I don't want people to see this, what I can do is I can click on the three dots again. I can click order, and then I can go backwards, send to back, right? If I want to, oops, sorry, now I can't go back to it because it was hidden between there, right? So because if you notice with Jamboard, I can't move this completely away from the screen, but if I still want students to see that, or for myself actually to know that I have this somewhere, what I can do is now I can hide the order all the way to the back. Oh, now I've learned something new. I can't do that, or I can't completely hide the sticky note. I can only do that if it's behind a picture, for example, okay, in terms of layers. All right, so that's okay. We're going to delete the sticky note. And when you look at the font, so you can't really change font sizes, but again, I think that's actually fine because the point of the Jamboard was to be a little bit minimal and not be too fancy. So for the font sizes, I can go to display or caption, right, in terms of the types of font. Okay, so I'll just leave it now at title. So I think that's a good font for the students. All right, add image. You can add any image you want. You can upload it from your Google Drive. You can do a Google image search. So for example, if I just search for the world, or even Google Photos, if you have anything in your Google Photos. So for example, I will click world map. And then you click here, insert. Now I can insert this image right in here, right? So this is what I mean now, where I can now hide this picture, again, behind the text box, but you still kind of see it, right? So what I can do now to show you is, I'm going to bring it back to the front, but now I'm going to show you how I can hide my sticky note as a note to myself kind of a thing. So over here, I can click the order, send to back, right? See now how it's behind the image. So if you want to hide something, you can actually do that. All right, sorry. I will now delete these items. And what you can also do is you can click circle or different shapes you want to do. So in my separate tutorial, I will show you an example of an activity that I have done with students that actually did work pretty well if you have very clear directions, right? So I can also do a text box, which I have here. So if you just click text box and then you click, that's where you can start typing title. That's why the font looks a little bit different, because that is the format that I have. You can also change the subtitle. All right, now I'm going to delete this and laser. So here, right, if you notice, you can just use it like a laser pointer, right? It does highlight, but it will fade pretty quickly. So again, what you want to do is, if you feel like your computer is very slow and you're not able to share your screen at the same time, but also see the students either on your Meet for Google Meet or for WebEx, then you can use a Jamboard, right? And that can pretty much be whatever it is that you want to show in terms of using it as a virtual digital whiteboard. All right. And right now, actually, what I want to show you is you can set your own background. So what I can do right now is I can set the background back to default, which is blank, and I can add an image. So what I was looking up before, right, the world map. So I'm going to click this picture and I can click set as frame background. Now that's my background, okay? And in my separate tutorial, I will show you some things that you can do with this, but I think the world is your oyster and basically up to your imagination, right? I'm sure you're able to come up with much more just from looking at this and playing around with the Jamboard, right? So now if I don't want to use this background anymore, I just click undo, undo back to this background that I was using. What you can also do is you can zoom, right? So for people who maybe need to, right, they can always zoom in or zoom out or fit however they would like, because sometimes maybe your picture is a little bit too small for some people to read, or they just want that function, right? And so that is it for the quick tutorial about Jamboard, and I will also have a separate video going more specifically in depth for classroom activity.